Alright. Hey everyone. Okay. So I've actually made a lot of progress on Project Stray. I kind of missed out on a couple of videos. I could have probably get a little bit more, be a little bit more verbose about progress, but I kind of focused on things, and also Dark Souls kind of distracted me. I'm still kind of collecting my deaths count. I managed to get up to about the halfway mark of the game. I've been working an awful lot. That's why I only got that far. But um, I guess it's the Lord of Cinder, the Abyss Watchers. I'm about to fight those guys. Anyway, I haven't fought them yet, but I'm about to. Supposedly they're like the hardest. They're one of the harder fights in the game. So anyway, with that said, the progress, as you can tell, there is a metric fuck ton of level design progress that has gone on, and it definitely shows when you actually play the game now. I'm going to do two different videos. One of them is literally going to just be a video of me doing a let's play of my own fucking game. Like, I'm not even fucking kidding around. You ever wonder what a game would play like? Like it without sound or graphics? Like, you're literally just playing the game mechanics and that's it? Here it is. Like, straight up fucking looter shooter Dark Souls thing where there's no sound and no graphics. Uh, so from the last time you saw this, I can't remember where I left off as far as like how much I was building things out, but I have a lot of very focused uh, situations here where it's like gotta move this guy away a little bit, where you have handcrafted level design, handcrafted encounters. Um, all very much done in the vein that you're probably used to if you play my Doom maps and stuff like that. So this is basically this plays an awful lot in that vein. There's some things that I still need to kind of fix, like I might have to do two different types of sniper states. One where the character kind of wanders around a little bit, or a sniper state where you literally, like the character is just literally standing there. Uh, in some cases, it actually makes more sense for the character to just stand in place than it does for him to kind of like waddle around. There's additional things as well. Enemies that become alert, if they become alert while they're standing next to another enemy, that enemy will become alert and it can cause like a daisy chain. Um, that was something that I just implemented today. You'll notice that there's quite a few enemies. I feel personally like the damage is a little bit too spongy, but I'm having a difficult time deciding whether or not that's a bad thing, considering that the style of game revolves more around stats than it does around just reflexes. I know that's a little bit. That's just something that comes with the territory. If you go down the route of having a game that plays more like Borderlands, you end up having to have enemies that take lots more hits to kill. It's just a natural thing. Otherwise, the stats don't matter, right? And in the case of like something like Doom, pretty much every gun, like aside from the pistol, you can two shot a handgun guy. Um, pretty much everything dies in one or two shots from the single barrel, right? So if your gun only does 10% more damage, it still takes the same number of shots to kill the bad guys. In other words, you need you need a sort of granularity in the number of shots it takes to kill something in order for your stats to have an impact um, on actual gameplay. In other words, not just a slightly larger number that has no real impact on actual gameplay. So I got everything set up. all the way to the second bonfire so far, which means that you're essentially looking at the first level of the game. Uh, unless I decide to do one slightly earlier area where you're kind of climbing up the side of the mountain to get to the dark base, which is another thing that I'm going to try and do. That's sort of a homage, an homage, an homage. Whatever. English is my first language. I've only had 38 years to learn English. Sorry, I got some energy drink going on here. Probably shouldn't be doing this at 12:31, but fuck sleep. Uh, so the homage of the Dark Souls 3 environments is that things tend to be very high up. Even if it's something that you wouldn't necessarily think would be high up, like an undead settlement or something like that, there are these cliffs, and there are places you can fall to your death, and they're sort of just around. There's sort of a vertigo, or a sort of phobia of heights that we'd be sort of like working towards. Like if you play the game in VR mode, uh, you might need to pay attention to like not falling off the edge, because that'll make your brain go crazy and you're about to die and realize that you just stubbed your toe on the coffee table because you're playing VR, which I'm not looking forward to that. Actually, probably one of the worst things you could do to somebody is just sprinkle some Legos around them while they're playing VR. Oh God, I don't even want to think about the pranks that you could do to people while they're playing VR games, but that's a whole nother topic, isn't it? I noticed the enemy sponginess on damage. Sorry, I'm getting right back to things again. I'm just like diving right back in. The sponginess on an enemy tends to be a lot more noticeable when there's lots and lots of enemies. So I have a way to automatically level myself up to about the appropriate level, and then I have a dev case to give me weapons and items that are appropriate for what I need at the current level. If when I'm on this area, so by the time you get to this, by the time you get to the second home point, you'll probably want to be around level 3, and not necessarily, like, I'm pretty well geared, but this is worn armor. You'll probably have a couple pieces of like random things, like the chain gun guys drop reinforced, and reinforced armor is really good, but it reduces your walk speed. You'll probably have a shotgun of some variation and an assault rifle of some variation. You'll probably have an abundance of ammo. I don't think ammo is going to be too much of a problem overall, which is one of the things that I need to get working on next. That is the next area that I'm about to work on. The first optional lock-in battle. So that is going to be an object that you walk up to, and when you're in radius of it, it channels, just like the home points do. And you get an opportunity to basically do a difficult fight. And if you survive to the end of the difficult fight, you can then get a shot at some extra loot. And I think actually these optional fights may be the progression model of the game, because, well, you're also going to need to continually level up, because after a while in a game that requires ammo to kill everything, if you're a few levels below everything that you're fighting, you're going to run out of ammo for all your guns. You're going to basically it'll tap you out, right? I guess it's just going to be a basic truth, is that even if you're pretty good at dodging damage and getting everything in place, you're probably going to be running into situations where you're just not or where if you're just not high enough level, you're simply not going to be able to do well against the enemies. But the way the game is kind of set up is that it's sort of like a constant, you get better and better stuff uh, grind. It's kind of like that. Like, so, yeah, see, this is sort of like indicative of the. Eh, it's not so bad, but I know that things are going to get a lot more hairy when it comes to the pre-scripted fights. So that's about that. I think actually what I'm gonna do now is I'll I'll kind of end this one here, unless I could think. I always think of something to say right as I'm about to end the video, but this time I think I'm pretty much good to go. Like what you are seeing right now is a very strong push for the handcrafted level design, the I guess something that I've just had a lot of practice doing. So, yeah, like here's an actual game that's like built around that, the strengths of what I'm good at doing. Uh, oh yeah, there's like a small chance that if you fight the chain gunner guy, he'll drop his chain gun. And believe it or not, is actually a fully functional weapon that you can use, and it takes lots and lots of ammo, but it destroys things. It's so cool. Uh, all right. I guess I did end up finding stuff to say. Wow. I guess I can never really truly end a video. I have to merely abandon it. But yeah. So this is another section over here. That's another thing too. The building with flat sheets has allowed me to actually build things in this way where the level I'm capable of building the level sort of on its own local grid. And this is probably possible with brushes. I don't know. It's just not as seamless. Like it doesn't feel as good to do it this way. But the end result is, this whole thing is not built on a 90-degree angle. This is this is not a cardinal angle. This is actually, rotated, and everything's all lined up, and it works really well. And you can look out the window and there's a staircase that's kind of like leaning off in a different direction, that's built on a different non-cardinal angle. um, Doorways that are set up like this. Like when I art this out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have art pieces where I'm going to take these walls and I'm going to make the wall invisible and make it so that the wall that only stops player collision. And I'm going to have stuff behind the wall that looks like cool arted out wall pieces with pillars and like trims and stuff like that. And it'll all line up because it's just using the same sizes as the objects that I used to actually build the level. So I don't know. I think flat sheets are basically Brush 2.0. With that said, there's definitely a lot of improvement. I mean, if somebody was to actually build the engine or build a tool for the engine that was designed around this premise, it would be even more efficient. And yeah, then building in this method in this way would be even uh, could be drastically improved. Like maybe these could be actually like light mapped surfaces that uh, where I can actually just apply textures, and like maybe this could just be the level geometry itself. But anyway, all right. I went off on that kind of rant. I'm gonna end this here. Um, Stay tuned for an actual me playing the game video, which is I'm gonna start working on that next. I'm doing two separate videos.